thereabouts, folks. It's almost 9:30. I always wait for your clock, because that's, I know that was here.
It's real, it's a thing.
The others are wherever they are.
Your stuff's okay.
Oh, thanks. Maybe tomorrow.
You sure the clock is still working? Phil? Huh?
It's going.
Still working? Look at that.
10 seconds.
Okay, you're not real cute. All right, it being 9:30 or thereabouts, we'll call the St. Louis County listening session to order. This is our constituents' time to address the board on items that are of concern to them or items that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone here that cares to address the board at this point? I know I have one for sure, but I don't know if I have. Do we have a sign-up sheet out there? No one else? No one signed up? But anyone who cares to address the board, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
I didn't sign in, I'm not gonna. My name's Chester Cullen,
Thank you.
been here before too many times. Got a dike across my property. Yo, I gave you an 18-minute video to watch. Nobody can watch it. It's county cheat. Property theft. And y'all are good with it. You say you only got one way in? That was just a cheat too. Johnson Road, you go off Rudolph, off 73, Johnson Road goes to a property that Lewis County sold Johnny Hutch. Right to it. And Jarvie Road ends at another one. And I told you about the dike before COVID. And it's still there. I wanted to move my property driveway 100 feet to the south because of drifting problems along my neighbor's field there. I can't even do it. It's a swamp. Johnny turned my property into a swamp. And this is all because of what Lewis County did to me. Y'all know it. And I think I had enough. You should give me permission to go home right now and sever that dike and get the property water flowing. That's what you should tell me to do right now. Because none of yous, not a one of you would put up with this crap. Let me tell you. I mean, it's all controlled out there. Van Buren Township is Hutchinsonville. That's what I call it. And so I get a swamp because they get to control the land out there. No wonder their taxes are so cheap. They don't build no roads for nobody. Jarvie Road, the late Gary Bestel Sr. wanted his westerly property to have access for his grandson. You think that happened? Nope. No. You know why? Because Lewis County was so against me. And that's how I feel about it. And if you can't watch that 18-minute video, I can't help none of you do nothing. So, y'all have a good day. If you can't tell me to go home right now and get my property draining, I don't know. 30 seconds. This 3-minute thing is ridiculous. Let me tell ya. Freedom of speech, hogwash. Y'all have a good day.
Chester, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who cares to address the board during our listening session? I'll hang around for board members because we might have more coming. But we will start our board meeting at 10 o'clock. Okay, we're done. If we have more coming, we'll do the listening session. We certainly have heard an awful lot about it, Michael and I, and Patrick and Paul, as we serve on the rail authority, but certainly would like to hear more.
I'm Roger Johnson, resident of Chisholm, Minnesota, all my life except when Uncle Sam called me during the Korean conflict to serve for him.
Thank you
Glad
for
to
your
do that.
Thank you for your
You're welcome.
service.
Thanks for having. Ed Waters and I are both on the CBA board, and Dave Senda is also one, but he's got conflict with meetings today, and some of the other people too. So we're representing CBA. I'm also retired assistant director of the Division of Minerals, DNR. Work out of Hibbing in St. Paul. Served there for 43 years. I've been retired at 32, still waiting for some things to happen. And the one thing I learned was in giving out information, it's very important, but that is true also. And meeting with county boards while we were leasing throughout the northern part of the state, I told my boss, I said, these people don't know anything about minerals, we out of town. So I remember meeting at the county board in Roseville, and you can kind of read your audience and see who's with you, who's against you, and that's okay. But this one counselor said when I got through, he said, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, that's okay, I've heard that before too. But I said, do you have a question? Yeah, he said, I leased my land and it came back. I said, do you know why? No. I said, well, I'm going to tell you why. So I told him that companies come, they fly in the area, then they come on the ground and do some work. We don't have anything yet that points to the ground and says it's down there at 32.5 feet, you know. We don't have that kind of equipment yet, but we use what we can in ground. And so they run into maybe 50 targets. Well, how much money they got? Maybe for 10. The best one doesn't always put, it's not that scientific. We're not there yet. So anyway, I explained to him, I said, but you got exactly what you had before. Why? Because nobody's any drilling. That's the only way you find out. So at that end of that meeting, he came up to me and thanked me. See, so an enemy became a friend because of the truth. And that's what I'm here to share with you today too. Okay. I want to thank St. Louis County for granting to the City of Chisholm 2 leases to property contained within the Bruce Mine project. This, along with 2 additional leases from Mountain Range Resources, enable this project to go forward. CBA started this project over 10 years ago and just completed it and turned it over to the city this year. In fact, Eddie Waters was one of the first people that was driving in the car down the road, and they see the steel head frame out on the east side of town. We got people to town that don't know. I think they think it came from Mars, but it didn't. It didn't. So, Chisholm Beautification and members noticed that Bruce head frame was never developed, although it had been included in 1978 as a Federal Register of Historic Places. We contacted the City of Chisholm and Balkan Township and were granted permission to develop a park. That was very helpful. It began in 2014 and was completed in 2024 and now turned over to the city. CBA is a volunteer group in Chisholm that have been doing projects like painting houses, fire hydrants, wall restoration, tree planting, many other things to various places in Chisholm. We're happy volunteers. We want to spread the word. Bruce Mine Underground is developed by International Harvester and operated from 2026 to 2038. Not the largest, not the deepest. Underground was the last standing head frame on the Mesabi Range. It was also the only one that had a drying plant due to the high moisture of the iron ore. That, along with some drilling that was faulty, led to the closing of the mine. Part of the reason for developing the underground was to recognize these people, the immigrants, who worked there and also built our cities, towns, schools, and churches. We salute these immigrants. My parents happen to be Swedish immigrants that came here to develop in a new country. My dad worked both underground and open pit as a carpenter and painter. My mother was a seamstress who knew how to take care of the ladies, and I learned the truth from them, and I learned how to work. and I appreciate that. But I also learned from the Chisholm schools what it was to be develop character, truth, honesty, and patriotism. CBA needed to raise funds and was successful with help from IRRR and Senator Thomas Downey, as well as individual donations. We hired a contractor to develop a plan that included an entrance road, head frame restoration, lighting, sign identification, ship installation, clearing and grubbing, graffiti removal, planting of grasses, and so forth. There were many disruptions, difficult time waiting, explaining the plan, but finally the project was completed with additional help from the St. Louis and Lake County's Railroad Authority. Now it's also recognized as a trailhead, right alongside Saga Trail. Good cooperation between agencies. On another separate issue, I'd like to remind you of potential mineral issues. In 1966, the state of Minnesota Department of Natural Resources offered for sale mineral leases on lands within the Duluth-Gabriel complex in an area from Duluth to Hoyt Lakes and up to Ely. Lands within the BWC were never included. As a result of this and for future sales, many companies came to the area and discovered a large deposit of copper, nickel, and associated minerals. These are minerals we need in our country. However, though there are companies willing to proceed with this operation, they have been denied leases for the production. During World War II, Minnesota provided necessary iron resource to assist in the war effort. This was from already producing mines. But if we were to have a national emergency now, it would be impossible to develop a non-ferrous mine into production within the necessary time frame. That's the truth. What is interesting is that other copper nickel mines, such as in Michigan and Ontario, are operating. Also, drilling for copper nickel resources this last year has uncovered, in the Babbitt area, has uncovered helium, which we didn't even know. An area of the state which has got mixed geologic interest and was where the highest taconite on the range was, which was the Dunker River area. It was mined by Erie, kept them going. You see, in the late 1980s, something probably, I doubt that anyone here knows maybe, a silver mine under Lake Superior was developed, produced a lot of silver. That is still available. If you look at the lake, it doesn't have to be in the Minnesota side, it's north of that. You can see the underground shafts there through the water. It was a difficult mining operation because they're barely above the bed of the lake, and they had to keep pumps to operate. It was down a quarter mile. It can be done. It can be done. We have the ingenuity, but it needs to be done carefully as well. Closing that mine, I haven't seen anything, any comments since there's any trouble with it. That's it, Lake Superior, our best lake in the lake. I'm sure aware of the financial benefit these mines present to the state, county, towns, and school districts, as well as providing employment and other business. I recall meeting with the county board of several counties in the 70s and 80s to tell them how much money they were getting from the rental. Now, that is nothing compared to the royalty payments that are available when you get into mining. And you understand that because St. Louis County has received a lot of money through tax forfeit mineral resource. I was glad to bring a check to Duluth years ago. Our commissioner wanted them to be aware of the money that was being derived. The check was for $750,000. This was many years ago. Because at the time, I met with the county auditor, and I called the TV and the paper, and nobody showed up. But they were over at the Congdon Mansion, so they had a better story to follow. So that tells you how far back it was. But $750 million, and there many millions of dollars had been provided to St. Louis County by royalties. So if you're looking for money, which you always are, here's a source for you. I can guarantee it. On one occasion, so the important thing is royalty is the money. That's what built our schools, our towns, and cities. And that's money we need, but it doesn't go without problems. So I'm here to encourage you, because I worked on that sale in 1966. I'd hoped to see a property in operation before I retired. I've been retired 32 years. I'm an old guy. So why am I even interested in this? Because I love America. I love Minnesota. I love the range. I love Chisholm. And you may not agree with me, but that's okay. I'm not angry with you. Maybe just disappointed. So thank you for hearing me out, and I'm glad to be a participant with you today, and the best to each of you who are listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roger, Mr. Chairman, we'll recognize you shortly in a little bit here. We just want to get a couple of things. The senator is here. He'd like to speak. Representative, I think.
We're gonna get our board meeting started, and then we're gonna come back to you,
Okay?
okay?
I'm here.
We're even gonna come back, because even though you have Ed with you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know you know Ed very well, so.
I do.
And we've been friends for years, so we've been on this project for 10 years, and we're glad it's done.
If I didn't give Ed just a little bit of a hard time,